Hi there. My name is Paula Fiscal, and welcome to the show. Today we have a very special guest with us that's going to share with us some of the relaxation therapy techniques that are available in the San Francisco area. His name is Michael Garrett. He is going to be opening a brand new spa, which he calls Reboot Float Spa. Michael Garrett, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in this industry?
Sure. I first heard about floating in about 2010 from Joe Rogan, who you might know him from Fear Factor, News Radio. He's a successful stand-up comedian, and he announces for the UFC. He's a very interesting guy, and he has a float tank in his house. And on his podcast, he raves about the benefits and how much it's helped him. So I tried it, and I fell in love with it immediately. I went down to Float Lab in Venice and did a session and found it extremely meditative during the session. I had never been able to meditate like that before. The calm that was over me was unlike anything I've felt, because in the tank you're floating, and so your whole body is basically gone, the whole distraction of the body, and you're able to have no distractions. And then afterwards, which was something I didn't expect, was a sort of body high, like just walking after the float. I just felt so good physically that it was overwhelming. I knew that this was something that I would do for the rest of my life. You know, I really had a lot of benefits from it.
And did you start out in this industry, or did you have a different career path?
I had a different career path. I graduated from Penn State with a degree in accounting. I worked at a hedge fund for 3 summers and was headed towards the financial analyst career path. But in 2008, the stock market crashed, and it was tough to get a job in finance. So I ended up getting an accounting job at an entertainment law firm, which had its perks. I got free concert tickets, festivals, things like that. Had a lot of fun, but it was ultimately not my passion. It was not rewarding, and
Yes, but did you meet any movie stars?
I did. I met Common and Kid Cudi, who's was a very nice gentleman.
Well, it sounds like a fun job.
It was okay. It got old after a couple years, and I knew I had to switch career paths at some point.
So I understand you went on a trip with your sister Meredith.
I did, and that was what inspired me to make the leap and start pursuing floating as a career. Yeah, we went down to Peru, and we took part in ayahuasca ceremony. We did 3 ceremonies, and ayahuasca.
You're going to tell us what ayahuasca is. Thank you.
I am. So ayahuasca is a shamanic brew that they've been drinking and taking part in ceremonies in Peru for thousands of years. What they did is they found a root that contains an MAO inhibitor and a leaf that contains a psychedelic called DMT. And when they combine these two, they have this brew that produces profound effects, allows you to kind of travel to higher states of consciousness. It has a feeling of communicating with Mother Earth, and a lot of times you'll purge during a ceremony, and can be very cathartic. Very cathartic and inspiring experience.
And how long did this take? Was this a couple of days, or was it a couple of hours?
Well, we went for a week, and we had 3 ceremonies, and the ceremony lasts about 4 hours.
And is this something that we're going to see in the States, or is this something just exclusive to Peru?
I'd say it's definitely on the way to the States. It's already, I believe, in New Mexico. There is a church that they're deemed a religion, and they do ayahuasca ceremonies as part of their religion. So it's already here in a very small way, but groups like MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, and other groups like this are trying to get psychedelics that help a lot of people legal in this country, because they basically don't have any toxic effect. No one's really dying from LSD, mushrooms, or ayahuasca, and a lot of people are benefiting from this stuff. And there's a lot of information coming out from studies about psilocybin, which is in mushrooms, that is helping a lot of people. They'll say that one mushroom ceremony will impact them for years in a positive way.
I've heard that about the psilocybin, the mushrooms. Now, let's go back to when you were in LA. I understood that you had an opportunity to actually make your first float. Can you tell us about that?
Sure, I'd love to. After I came back from the ceremony in Peru, I immediately got to work. I was just found myself in action. I went to Home Depot. I looked and just bought all the supplies, and I designed my own tank from online ideas, and built a float tank. And we can show a picture of that. And it took me a couple months. I built it in my sister's house, and it worked. And I floated in that thing and really got a lot of benefit out of it, and learned all about floating and the sanitation, and really got to float a lot, which was fantastic.
So you mean to tell me then that your family was very supportive of you doing this activity, and didn't question what it was you were doing for
No,
such a long time?
no, they're very supportive. My family's great about it, and my sister was the one who really said, "Go out and build a tank, and I'll pay for it." So I had the money to pay for it, and I ended up paying for it myself, and she actually never paid me back.
Oh,
But
we'll have to bring Meredith on the show to discuss some of those small details. Let's moving right along here. Now Michael is going to tell us a little bit about the process that he's going through, and I understand from reading about this that many doctors also recommend this for athletes that are rehabilitating themselves, and that there were actually these types of float tanks in Appleton, Wisconsin, and that they have a long history of being very, very therapeutic, and that doctors would also recommend people to do these floats for their physical well-being. Is that right?
Sure, it was noted this year that the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots actually have a float tank at their facility, and Tom Brady owns a float tank. So yeah, athletes float for various reasons. I'd say for recovery, the Epsom salt is the best thing for sore muscles. That's been known for a long time, and a float tank has over 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt in the tank, so you're getting that benefit.
Over
1,000 pounds, yeah. Takes a lot of salt
per tank
to float a person, yeah. And then you have the visualization benefit, which has been proven that if you're able to visualize success, it's much easier to manifest it when you're on the field. So that's another benefit. And then there's the actual floating. So your spine, your whole body is floating, it's weightless. The spine will decompress, so you're having that benefit. Your joints are loose, and all your muscles are loose, and you're able to accelerate recovery from your workouts.
And I also understand that this is beginning to be discussed among the, what do we call them, the technocrats, the technophiles, the ones that are bringing in meditation, like Google.
Sure.
They bring in people that show the Googlers how to relax, how to meditate, and that this is all part of the meditation routine with the float.
Yeah, mindfulness is booming, especially in the Bay Area. People are really tuning into things that, Steve Jobs was a meditator, and a lot of Silicon Valley executives now are meditating, and people are really realizing just how beneficial it is to meditate, how powerful it is for the mind, and healthy it is for the body to take that time and clear the mind. And the float tank basically is the best tool for meditation. It's people say it's like training wheels for meditation. You get in the tank, all distractions are gone, your body basically is gone, and you're able to easily meditate, and that's very powerful.
And how does it compare with, say, a hot tub?
Well, a float tank is kept at 93.5 degrees, which is skin temperature neutral. So once you're settled in the tank, you don't feel hot or cold. So you're not, once you have a light button, but if you turn that off, you have no light, there's no sound, it's in a soundproof room, there's no feeling of temperature, touch, your whole body is weightless. So all senses have been removed, and that can be very euphoric because our body is constantly in distraction. We have all these lights beaming at us, and you feel your body, and you have sound and all this distraction, and when that's all taken away, you're left in a very peaceful place.
And how long do you stay in the float tank each time?
Our sessions are an hour. So you'll take a shower and you get in the pod, and we have 10 minutes of music in the beginning. And then you have 45 minutes of silence. Typically, we can play music throughout, or silence all throughout. But typically 10 minutes of music, 45 of the silence, and then at the end we'll have 5 minutes to ease you out of the float. And with 2 minutes left, a light comes on, and the session's over, and you take another shower, and chill in our lobby area, have a refreshing beverage, and kind of reflect on the experience.
So I also read somewhere that this kind of a relaxation therapy makes you smarter, more successful, younger, you have a longevity factor, you have all these positive benefits from doing these floats. So are we going to have women addicted to this type of thing?
I think it'd be a very good addiction. There's a lot of benefits to floating. It touches on the body and the mind and the spirit. And yeah, there's so many benefits from, like I said, the Epsom salt. You're absorbing magnesium, the spinal decompression. You have the peacefulness, the kind of meditation that you can achieve if you've never meditated before, just by being in the tank, and the stress relief. That's the number one. Cortisol, these stress hormones are so unhealthy for the body, and we're also stressed out living in a crazy city. We're having to work more and more with our cell phones, constantly being distracted. We're always at work, and we need to de-stress. And floating is probably the best way to do that I've found. And being able to lower the cortisol levels, your stress hormones, is very healthy for you in so many ways. Lower blood pressure, and yeah, it's very healthy.
So in other words, this type of a therapy can help someone, for example, that's overweight, that's having trouble with their diabetes, something with their health issues, their high blood pressure too, it affects?
Sure. Yeah, well, there's a mind-body connection, and if your mind is stressed out and overactive and stuff like that, it's going to affect your body and and how it's working. So if you're very relaxed and meditative, you're sending calm energy through your body, and your body doesn't think it's being, attacked by a tiger. If we are super stressed out about something, it's like our body thinks that we're in danger, and when you're in this safe place like a float tank, your mind really relaxes and feels safe, and your body can really go to work on healing itself. And so that's a big reason why people meditate, and even bigger reason why you should float.
And can you tell us a little bit about the whole process of starting a float tank? Did you visit other float tanks? Did you research them? How many other floats have you taken in other cities, for example?
Yeah, I've done it at numerous places, and each one is set up differently. And I learned from each one, kind of took bits and pieces from each spa, and ended up choosing pods. So we have 4 float pods, which are very large, spacious. They're white, and they have a light button inside them and music to guide you, which I feel for new floaters is very important, because the light is comforting for a lot of people. They don't want to do a float in the total darkness at first, and they have the option right there for them. And when you get in, you have the music to help you ease into it. So it's not just, a lot of places you'll go in and it's total darkness and silence, which works for a veteran floater. That's really the environment you want. But for a new floater, I think it's best to have that cushion of having the safety of a light and the sound and the beautiful white pod, and it's not a just total dark environment with a big metal door. Those work great, but I felt like the pod was the best to allow people who've never done this to really get into it and have it be a part of their relaxation routine.
And so in San Francisco, where we have a very diverse population, and we have had our share of, how should we say, mystical people, spiritual people. We had the hippie generation. We have the boomers. So is this something that you believe might be helpful for people that perhaps don't have an opportunity to go flying off to Peru, but it's like going on a trip then, isn't it?
Yeah, my contractor, Pat, who he likes to say it's like a week's vacation in an hour, which I think is a great little line.
A week's vacation in an hour, that's a bargain.
Exactly.
And we don't have to pay for the extra baggage, right?
Yeah, no plane tickets here. Floating is very helpful for people.
And what about the age group? Can you tell us, is there a certain age limit that you have to be able to go into this pod? Would you recommend it for an elderly person, or do you need to be 18? What's the regulations?
Any age group can float. Kids can float. Elderly people can float. It's very good for arthritis. There's a lot of success with fibromyalgia. You can go to fibromyalgiafloatproject.com, and their results have been overwhelming with curing fibromyalgia. People who float regularly will almost overcome the disease. The results are pretty staggering, and it touches on that mind-body connection. When someone feels very safe and relaxed, oftentimes pain can subside just from kind of the mind over matter effect.
So you mean to tell me that if you want to have a children's float party, you'll have that opportunity?
Sure, there's no age restrictions, so you could have, we have 4 pods, so yeah, bring your kids, bring grandma, everyone's welcome at Reboot.
That's great, Michael. Now, again, we're here with Michael Garrett, and he is our spiritualist person for this month, but we will be having other people coming in and telling us and sharing with us some tips on relaxation. So, Michael, I want to get back to some of the steps that you went through to get to where you are today, because certainly, as we all know, starting a career in one place and then ending up in another place is sort of traumatic to get there as it is. So tell us what you went through yourself on a personal basis to be able to get yourself to this place here in San Francisco.
Yeah, switching careers is very difficult. Once you're down a path, it's so hard to switch when you have a rent payment and you have just all the momentum down a career path. To switch is so tough. I was inspired by many different podcasts and podcast guests. One was Joe Rogan, who introduced me to the float tank. Another was a comedian named Duncan Trussell, who had a lot of podcasts, who he said, kill the vampire in your life. What is that vampire that you invited into your life that you need to stab with in the heart with a stake? And I said, that's like my job. I invited it in. I wanted the job, but it's sucking my life energy. I have to go to this job every day, and I don't have any energy left over to really pursue the career I wanted. So what I did was just quit my job. I said, I'm quitting, and I'm going to Thailand. I'm going to Thailand for...
Wait a minute, you didn't say anything about your Thailand trip. Let's hear about that.
Sure, yeah. It's kind of inspired by another podcaster, Tim Ferriss. He talks a lot about how you can travel to third world countries with very little money. And I took his advice and said, I'll save up a few months' salary and just cut ties with everything, cut ties with the lease, the job. I don't have kids or a wife, so I'm able to do that. So I just bought a plane ticket to Thailand and went out there and just cleared my mind and quickly realized just a few weeks into the trip that starting a float spa was exactly what I needed to do, and just set course down that path and thought about it a lot during the trip. And I just really enjoyed myself out there, met a lot of very interesting people. And when I got back, I just hit the ground running, and I did a lot of research online out there and knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to do it in San Francisco, so I moved up here and found float tanks, and the rest is history.
And when you were thinking about doing this in San Francisco, did you do any research? Did you look at the statistics of our age groups, or how did you find the location, for example? Because, location's everything, right? Location, location, and location.
Yeah, the location is very important. The place I found was basically the first place I found in the city, and it was on Lombard Street, right next to Buchanan and the Marina. And that was an area of the city that I spent a lot of time in. My friends live near there in Russian Hill and the Marina. And it was the perfect size. And so it was a good price, and I just jumped on it.
And it helps also that it's on the way into town and on the way back into the city. It's right on a thoroughfare. And let's not forget to mention the fact that the triangles over there, where all the young people hang out on the weekends, all the athletes, all the bodybuilders, they're all hanging out in the Union Street district. Of course, this is what I've heard. I don't know myself.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you've never been out in the Marina, Paula. But yeah, the Marina's a nice area, and we're proud to be there. And yeah, the spa looks really nice. It's coming along. So yeah, we found a good location there.
That's great. So is there anything else that you might want to tell our audience as to the benefits of a float, other than the fact that we're going to get younger, more beautiful, we're going to get smarter, we're going to be more entrepreneurial, and did I miss anything?
Better sleep is a big benefit to floating. A lot of it's the brainwave state. You'll slow down from beta waves to theta waves typically, and you're absorbing magnesium, which is a critical nutrient that a lot of people are deficient in. The Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate, and you're in 1,000 pounds of it. So after a float, typically I recommend to people that they go to bed an hour early, because you'll sleep like a log after a float. And so people with insomnia have trouble sleeping. You should gotta try it. It really is great for that.
And what does it do to your appetite?
Floating is good for your metabolism. I think because of the stress loss and stuff like that.
So there you have it. A way to relieve your stress, a way to be more creative, and with Michael Garrett's Reboot Float Spa, you can take a tour there, and when the grand opening is held, you can locate Michael on Facebook page and other ways to reach you.
You can find us on Facebook. You can Google us, rebootfloatspa.com. And yeah, you can book online. Our intro prices are $49 for an intro float, and then we do memberships for one float a month for $55 a month.
Now, I looked on Facebook page, and you've been giving out a prize or an award every month. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, every month we give away a float to our email list subscribers. So go ahead and subscribe to the list, and yeah, you can win a free float.
Terrific. So there you have it. Something that you can do to help you relax. Thank you so much for joining us. You can see these shows on Sundays at 3 o'clock p.m. on Channel 29, SF Commons. We also upload to YouTube, and you can look for the Paula Fiscal Show on YouTube. And thank you so much for joining us.